Okay, let's dive into this. As we get older, especially past 60, our bodies, well, they change.
They definitely do.
You might notice joints aren't quite as forgiving, maybe legs feel a bit weaker, or you get those odd feelings like tingling in your hands or feet.
Absolutely. And a big part of that picture seems to be collagen. It's like the essential glue holding together our joints, tendons, even impacting our nerves.
Right. And our bodies just don't make it quite as efficiently as they used to.
That's the core issue. Collagen is fundamental for staying mobile and comfortable. When levels dip, those things you mentioned, stiffness, weakness, weird nerve sensations, they can crop up more often.
It's not just about wrinkles then.
Not at all. It's deep, affecting how we actually feel and move.
So the material we've looked at for this deep dive asks a really interesting question. Can simple food choices actually, help? Could tweaking what you eat support your body's own collagen production, or maybe protect the collagen you still have?
And that's exactly the focus here. It's all about actionable food advice based on observations and research findings presented in the material. How specific foods might interact with your body's collagen systems as you age.
No magic pills, just food.
Just food. Looking at how everyday eating could potentially make a difference.
Great. So our mission today is to pull out the clearest, most useful takeaways from this. Let's start with the foods the material suggests we should embrace, the ones that might boost that internal support system.
Okay. The material points to certain fruits being particularly helpful. We can start with number 8 on their list, described as a mild collagen enhancer. It's amla, or Indian gooseberry.
Amla. Okay, what's the story there?
His main thing is vitamin C. Like incredibly high levels, way more than you'd find in an orange, for instance.
Wow, and vitamin C is key.
Absolutely essential. Think of it as the primary raw material your body needs to actually build collagen molecules for muscles, joints, tendons, you name it.
So it provides the basic building blocks.
Exactly. Plus, amla has antioxidants. These act like little protectors for the collagen you already have, shielding it from damage caused by things like inflammation.
So building new and protecting the old, that's smart.
Yeah, it's a good combo. They suggest it might help with things like leg cramps at night, maybe improve circulation a bit, and potentially slow down some age-related muscle loss.
And easy to use.
Apparently quite gentle on the stomach. You can find it as a juice, powder, easy to add in. It sort of wakes things up, but it's just the start.
Got it, a foundational piece. Okay, moving to number 7, called a collagen shield, black raspberries.
Black raspberries are all about protection. That deep, dark color. This comes from compounds called anthocyanins.
Anthocyanins, right.
And the material suggests these act like bodyguards, specifically protecting collagen from the effects of chronic low-grade inflammation. That kind of inflammation can really contribute to feeling weaker or less flexible as you age.
Protecting against that daily wear and tear.
Precisely. The idea is these compounds might also slow down enzymes that tend to break down connective tissue, especially in places like knees.
So that could give things a chance to recover, maybe feel less achy.
That's the potential outcome, yes. Less discomfort, maybe improved flexibility over time.
Makes sense. Affects how well you can move.
And there's a circulation angle, too. The flavonoids in them are thought to help keep tiny blood vessels flexible, particularly in the legs. This could be relevant if you deal with night cramps or that cold feet feeling.
Better blood flow helps everything, really. Gets nutrients where they need to go.
Absolutely. And they note black raspberries aren't too sweet or acidic, so they're generally easy on digestion, even if you're watching blood sugar. Fresh, smoothies, however you like them.
Okay, building blocks from amla, protection from black raspberries. Next is number 6, the transporter of collagen, blueberries.
Blueberries are interesting. They might not have the absolute highest vitamin C levels, but the insight here is they seem to help your body use the vitamin C you do get more effectively for making collagen.
So it's like making sure the delivery truck gets the materials to the building site efficiently.
Kind of, yeah. They seem to boost enzymes involved in replacing older, perhaps weaker collagen fibers with stronger new ones.
Okay.
But maybe even more important, blueberries are suggested to really help with microcirculation, opening up those tiny blood vessels. This is vital for getting oxygen and nutrients deep into tissues, like in your knees, calves, and feet.
That sounds really important for anyone who gets cold feet or numbness or that tingling.
Exactly. The material suggests people incorporating blueberries might notice less tingling, better warmth in their extremities, maybe even find they can walk a bit longer without fatigue. It's like clearing out the tiny roadways.
So blueberries help you use the materials and improve the roads to deliver them.
Nice. That's a good analogy. They boost the whole system's efficiency. The material highlights them as especially useful if you're concerned about muscle loss, maybe recovering from an injury, or having balance issues.
Key support for the framework. Okay, that brings us to number 5, the collagen restorer, strawberries.
Strawberries bring vitamin K and manganese into the picture, and manganese is highlighted as a direct player in actually forming new collagen fibers, especially the main type found in our muscles and tendons.
So it's right there on the assembly line.
Pretty much. And the combination of vitamin C and manganese in strawberries is thought to not only help build new collagen, but also potentially block some enzymes that break down the old stuff.
A double whammy.
Plus, they have flavonoids that can help calm down that chronic inflammation in joints, which, as we know, is often behind aches and pains.
A real repair crew, then.
Seems like it. They shared an anecdote, an outcome, where someone over 60 who started eating strawberries daily recorded less knee pain when walking. And interestingly, they could balance on one leg for longer.
Wow, that's a very specific, practical improvement.
It really shows how consistent, simple food choices might translate into noticeable differences. And strawberries are generally easy to eat fresh, juiced, whatever works.
Okay, we've got building, protecting, transporting, restoring. What about clearing out old stuff? Number 4 is papaya, promoting regeneration of collagen.
Papaya's special ingredient is an enzyme called papain. It's a digestive enzyme, but the material suggests it also works in the body to help break down damaged tissue and proteins that might be sort of clogging things up.
Like clearing debris before you rebuild.
Exactly that. This clearing process is seen as helping the body get ready to generate fresh, new collagen.
Makes sense.
Papain also seems to help us absorb amino acids better, and those are the literal building blocks of collagen. So better absorption means more raw material available for the building process.
Sounds crucial if you're dealing with muscle wasting or joint problems.
It could be very helpful. Papaya also provides other vitamins needed for repairing cartilage and strengthening ligaments. Plus, it's noted for reducing inflammation markers, and importantly, it aids overall digestion.
And good digestion is key for everything else we're talking about.
It really is the foundation. If you can't absorb the good stuff, it can't help you. Papaya is low acid, easy to eat.
Next up, number 3, a natural anti-inflammatory, pineapple.
Pineapple means bromelain. Most people have heard of this enzyme.
Right, bromelain.
It helps break down proteins, yes, but it's particularly noted for supporting the healing of damaged tissues and, crucially, reducing compounds that cause pain and lowering inflammation right in the joints.
So if joint inflammation is your main issue, pineapple might be a really good one to focus on.
That seems to be the takeaway. The material mentioned observations where people with joint troubles saw less pain, reduced swelling, and better function when they added pineapple.
Interesting.
It's also thought to help with circulation, reducing that feeling of stagnation, especially in the legs and feet. Again, potentially helping with numbness, coldness, or cramps.
That circulation theme keeps popping up. It's clearly important.
Very. Pineapple also provides micronutrients that support muscle and ligament regeneration and can stimulate those collagen-producing enzymes. Best fresh or cold-pressed juice, they suggest, to preserve the bromelain.
Okay, almost at the top. Fruit number 2 is guava, described as having the strongest plant-based collagen-boosting agents. High praise.
Guava is apparently a vitamin C superstar, even more than oranges or strawberries, according to the material. And as we've established, vitamin C is just non-negotiable for building collagen in muscles, ligaments, cartilage.
So a massive supply of that essential building block.
A really potent supply. The observations shared were quite striking, things like increased collagen density, less inflammation and stiffness reported, even improved walking ability and flexibility with daily consumption.
Wow, that sounds like it covers a lot of bases.
It seems to. It also contains compounds that might suppress specific inflammatory enzymes linked to joint pain, cramps, and swelling. Impressive. And its potassium and fiber content are good for blood sugar support and, again, circulation in the lower limbs. Ideal for daily use, fresh, juiced, blended. They noted many older folks reported less calf weakness, fewer cramps, and just found it easier to stand up from a chair after adding guava.
That's a really tangible benefit people would notice.
Definitely. Guava seems to offer that powerful mix, boosting new collagen and protecting what's there.
Okay, which finally brings us to the number 1 fruit, the secret to maximizing deepest level of collagen absorption. Fruit number 1 is kiwi.
Kiwi's magic isn't necessarily its own collagen content. The key insight is how it helps your body absorb and use the collagen you get from all your food sources much more effectively.
Ah, so it's the key that unlocks the potential of everything else.
That's the idea. Kiwi contains a unique enzyme called actinidin. A bit like papain in papaya, actinidin helps break down proteins, including complex collagen structures from food, into smaller bits your body can actually absorb easily in the small intestine.
So it optimizes the whole journey, from eating the food to getting the building blocks into your system.
That's the takeaway, yes. By making your body more efficient at extracting collagen from your diet, kiwi can amplify the benefits. The material shared outcomes suggesting adding kiwi led to noticeable improvements in things like knee fatigue and leg numbness within weeks. Even balance improved.
Knee fatigue, numbness, balance. Those hit close to home for many people.
Absolutely, and balance is so critical for staying independent and avoiding falls. Kiwi also has other nutrients that help with blood pressure, leg circulation, and cramping. They suggest eating it morning or evening to help with digestion and absorption from your meals.
So the overall picture is that combining these fruits, amla, black raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, papaya, pineapple, guava, and kiwi, creates this synergistic effect.
Yeah.
Each one tackling collagen support from a different angle.
That's the core message from this material, yes. You've got building blocks, protection, better transport, better absorption, help with regeneration. Together, they form a really comprehensive support system. They even mentioned a story of someone named Richard, who apparently had significant leg weakness and saw remarkable recovery in strength and movement by focusing on these kinds of foods.
That's a really hopeful example of what food choices might achieve.
It suggests that, yeah, these simple dietary shifts could potentially lead to real, tangible improvements in how you feel and function as you get older.
Okay, that covers the foods to embrace really well. But the material didn't stop there, did it? It also talked about foods that might actually work against you.
Yes, and this is just as important. Identifying foods that, maybe surprisingly, could be undermining your efforts, especially after 60.
Let's get into those. First one might raise some eyebrows. Bone broth. People often drink it thinking it's super healing, but it's described here as a potential hidden trap.
Right. While it's consumed for collagen, the specific concern raised is about the long cooking process. Depending on the bone source, how the animals were raised, what they were exposed to, there's a potential for things like heavy metals to leach into the broth.
Heavy metals? Seriously?
That's the point made. And the issue is, as we age, our kidneys might not filter things out quite as efficiently as they used to. So if those metals are present, they might not get cleared properly and could potentially build up in tissues.
Including nerves and muscles.
Including nerves and muscles.
And what would that feel like? What are the suggested effects?
The material suggests it could possibly affect nerve function, maybe contributing to tingling sensations or leg weakness or just general fatigue. They shared an anecdote. Someone drinking it daily felt tingling in their hands, weak legs, and those symptoms reportedly eased up when they stopped the broth.
Wow. That really drives home that even health foods need a second look depending on your individual body and age.
It highlights that changing physiology. How our bodies process things shifts over time.
Okay, next on the reconsider list. Pork skin. Pork rinds, crackling, crispy snacks.
Yeah, they contain collagen, true. But the main red flags here are usually the high sodium content, the saturated fat, and often the types of oils used in processing or frying. These can be pretty hard on aging arteries and nerves.
So it could directly counteract the benefits we talked about from fruits, like better circulation.
Exactly. All that sodium can push up blood pressure, potentially restricting blood flow to the legs and feet, which might contribute to numbness or weakness. And the fats, especially fried, can fuel inflammation, worsening joint issues or nerve pain.
Makes sense.
They noted an outcome where someone snacking on pork rinds daily felt their legs were unsteady, hands were buzzing, and saw improvement after cutting them out.
It's those regular habits, isn't it? They add up.
They really can. Foods your body handled fine at 30 might pose challenges at 65 or 70.
What about chicken skin? Often left on for flavor.
Chicken skin also has some collagen, but it's flagged here as a potential silent agitator. The issue raised is its high concentration of certain types of fatty acids.
Okay.
When these specific fats are eaten in large amounts and may be out of balance with healthier fats, the suggestion is they can promote inflammation throughout the body. And this inflammation can particularly affect the nerves and blood vessels that are crucial for balance and mobility.
And that inflammation could show up as specific symptoms.
Yes, the material links this kind of dietary pattern to things like pins and needles, numbness, maybe increased nerve sensitivity, or just feeling fatigued. They mentioned someone who was experiencing pins and needles, felt unsteady, and actually reported feeling better after consciously reducing chicken skin intake.
Shows how subtle dietary inflammation can impact those systems we need for feeling stable and comfortable.
It does.
Okay, moving on. Gelatin desserts. Things like Jell-O. They seem so harmless, easy to eat, often given in care settings.
All right, they seem innocent. But the concern highlighted isn't usually the gelatin itself. It's what else is in many store-bought versions. Artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, lots of refined sugar.
And those extras are the problem for aging bodies.
The worry is that these artificial ingredients and sugars can sort of overstimulate certain processes in the body, potentially damaging delicate nerve fibers. This seems especially true if you have issues with blood sugar regulation, which is more common as we age.
And that could lead to
symptoms like burning feet, tingling, numbness, and it could even impact your balance.
So it's less about the gelatin and more about the company it keeps in those processed desserts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They shared a story of someone eating these daily who had tingling, numbness, weakness, and felt better switching to things like plain yogurt with actual fruit. It's about reading the ingredients list, really.
Good point. Next, processed meats with added collagen. You see these marketed sometimes, claiming health benefits.
They do. But the material warns that these products are usually packed with preservatives and additives, things like nitrites, phosphates. These are described as potentially being quite toxic to aging nerves and the circulatory system.
Not good. And what about the collagen they add? Does it even help?
The concern raised is that this highly processed added collagen might not be used by the body in the same effective way as the collagen you get naturally from whole foods or that your body makes itself.
So what kind of issues might eating these regularly cause?
The material suggests things like nerve irritation, inflammation in blood vessels, possibly contributing to a slow decline in mobility, muscle cramps, maybe even trembling or reduced balance. They related an outcome where someone eating these daily had bad night cramps, shaky hands, trouble with stairs, and saw improvements after stopping.
So the potential harm from the processing and additives likely outweighs any theoretical benefit from the added collagen.
That's the risk presented, yeah. It's a reminder to be wary of health claims on ultra-processed foods, especially as our bodies become more sensitive.
Okay, what about collagen powders? They are everywhere now, hugely popular supplements.
They are very popular, and protein is essential, no doubt. But the potential issue raised here is the concentration. Getting a very large dose of protein specifically from these powders might overload aging kidneys.
Overload the kidneys.
Yeah, especially if there are underlying kidney issues someone might not even be aware of, which becomes more common after 65. Kidneys have to work hard to filter protein byproducts.
And if they're strained, what happens?
It could potentially lead to problems like fluid retention, maybe swelling in the ankles or feet, general muscle fatigue, or even metabolic imbalances that affect overall strength and stability.
Interesting.
They shared an anecdote. Someone taking collagen powder daily started experiencing swelling, fatigue, heavy legs, and these symptoms resolve when they cut back on the powder.
So the message isn't that collagen or protein is bad, but maybe that megadoses from supplements aren't automatically better and might even be problematic depending on your individual health.
Precisely. More isn't always better. It's about finding the right amount and source that your system can handle comfortably at this stage.
Okay, last one on the reconsider list. Cow hoof or oxtail soups. These are traditional comfort foods for many cultures, known for being rich in gelatin and collagen.
Very traditional, very rich. But the potential challenge for older digestive systems, which might be producing less bile, is breaking down the high amount of saturated fat and dense gelatin in these dishes.
So they can be hard to digest.
Potentially, yes. That can slow everything down in the gut, lead to bloating, and ironically, might mean you don't absorb nutrients very well, even from the soup itself. Poor absorption can contribute to muscle weakness over time. Plus, digesting really heavy, fatty foods can put a strain on circulation.
So even something traditional and seemingly nourishing might need adjusting.
They shared an outcome about someone who ate this type of soup often and felt heavy legs, constant bloating, had trouble standing up easily. When they lightened the soup or ate it less often, their energy reportedly improved. It just suggests that even cherished traditions might need a tweak as our bodies change.
Right, makes sense.
That's the observation anyway.
So let's wrap this deep dive up. We've explored material looking at two main sides of the food coin for aging bodies, specifically around collagen support. First, those fruits to embrace: amla, black raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, papaya, pineapple, guava, and kiwi, each offering a different kind of support, right?
Yeah.
From building blocks to protection to absorption.
Exactly. And then the flip side, foods to maybe reconsider or be cautious with. Things like bone broth, pork skin, chicken skin, sugary gelatin desserts, processed meats with additives, potentially high doses of collagen powders, and heavy traditional soups like oxtail. All for different reasons: contaminants, unhealthy fats, additives, kidney strain, digestive issues.
And the real power here seems to be that these are mostly about simple, everyday food choices.
Yes, not complicated regimes or extensive supplements, just adjustments to what you put on your plate. And the potential payoffs mentioned are pretty significant. Maybe better mobility, less joint discomfort, reduced tingling or numbness, more strength, improved balance.
Things that directly impact your independence and quality of life.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive really brings it back to you, the listener. These are insights to consider, choices you can potentially make starting with your very next meal. It suggests that even small, consistent changes in your diet could lead to noticeable improvements in how you feel and move every day.
So maybe take a moment and think about your plate. Is the food you're choosing today actively building you up, supporting your body where it is now? Or could some old habits be, perhaps quietly, working against the strength, comfort, and mobility you want to maintain?